tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're running for trustee.
Thank you all for coming. And why am I running for trustee?
Could you first state your name clearly? So
My name is Norma
Norma.
Nunez, N-U-N-E-Z hyphen Langlois, L-A-N-G-L-O-I-S. Okay. And I received a phone call from Jim Tarvin asking me would I consider running, and it is something that I had been talking about over with my husband, and as a way to figure out a way to get involved in Goshen. We have lived here now for 14 years, and as I said in my statement, it's a town that we keep on falling in love with, literally, because it's such a beautiful town. The small community allows for gatherings such as this. It allows us to share with one another, to see one another, and be there for one another, and that's very attractive compared to somebody who grew up in New York City where it's chaos. Why am I running for trustee? Goshen is growing. There is no doubt about that. When we first moved here in 1996, when we first got up here, the end of Murray Avenue used to be up by the intermediate school. That used to be open fields, and now there are homes there, with even more homes coming to the development. And so it is a town that is growing. I think, am I for a new library? I'm going to put it out there. Yes, I am. Yes, I am for a new library. I think that, this building, you look at it from outside and you think, wow, it's a beautiful building, but is it meeting the needs of this ever-growing community? And so, do we need to be fiscally responsible? Absolutely. We are all fiscally responsible in our own homes with what we have, and so we need to bring that responsibility also to the table and figure out how can we do this in the most fiscally responsible way that we can to give Goshen a library that can meet the needs of all of its citizens, be it our young families with young children, be it our senior citizens, be our empty nesters, just like my husband and I are at the moment. And so, all of the members of the community to have a place where we can come and gather.
Thank you. Mr. Roddy.
I'm Keith Roddy, and I have a prepared speech. I'm not as good on my feet as I am on paper. I've lived in the village for over 16 years, and I've raised my two kids, who you might know. Kyle is village trustee. Amanda Roddy has been on the joint recreation camp as a counselor for years, and my wife, Magdalene Radovich, is sitting in the audience, and I have a new daughter who's in the high school. So I have a past and a future life here in Goshen, and I've been involved with several groups over the years, including Citizens for Open Space, the group responsible for getting the town to put up the open space bond for a revote, Citizens Who Care, an environmental group, the Boy Scout Troop 63, a couple of the all-night party committees, and the library board in the past. Actually, the library advisory board. I'm running for a position on the library board because I'm an advocate of the library. I love books, I love the library, and I will do whatever I can to make it a better place. I know there's been a lot of talk about moving the library into the new building Ray Quattrini built next to the police station. I think that's a wonderful idea. It will give us extra space, the space we need to make our resources available, instead of restricting our holdings or storing overflow in the basement. And it has the potential to bring more business to our downtown. It will be good for all of Goshen. So if elected, that'll be at the top of my list of projects that I will get behind and do whatever is possible to make it happen. And after seeing Ken Tishan and Dennis O'Brien and the others this past weekend in Ty Cobb's, in the Ty Cobb play, I would also get behind any project that would bring similar productions to Goshen. They did a great job. Nothing less than something akin to what you'd see off Broadway. If you haven't seen them, I recommend you do. As far as credentials, I'm in publishing books. I work for Pearson, who publishes college books and as well as K through 12 textbooks. And one of our companies, Penguin, is the publisher of probably more books in this library than any other. So I'm in the business. Specifically, I'm in information technology, computers. So I not only know what's going on in publishing, such as with e-book readers, such as the new Apple iPad, I'm involved in making some of these new initiatives happen, as well as in supporting them. So I have a background that is perfect for bringing the library to the next technological level. But the greatest asset I will bring to the board, a sincere desire to do good, to make the library a better place, and a lot of energy and perseverance to make it happen. So thank you for allowing me to speak tonight.
Mr. Maloney.
Okay. I apologize, I don't have anything prepared.
Your name, please?
Bernard Marone, Bernie. I decided to try to run at the last minute, and it was something that I'd wanted to do for a long time, and there are reasons that I am doing it this time around is that there have been just time is freed up in my life, and the opportunity is there. My background, I deal with computers and networking systems, and have for the past 20 years. And really, I'm more curious why I think the library needs to have a better presence and to get more activities going on in the community. And there's an awful lot going on, but I have heard several times where people are surprised at some things that are going on or not. So, as far as actually being relating to the monies that need to be spent in terms of being a board member, I'm just looking to just lend a balance to that. Back to haven't been terribly involved in them, and I'm not the best person historically, but I will be able to be an active participant and be able to really lend what I would say a balanced balance, really. A balance, really. Because I don't know a lot of the history of either side. So I'll be doing more research in terms of whether we should be moving to building downtown. As Keith mentioned, I do see moving a library as a large project. And if it has benefits and can be done if it'll benefit for those costs that are incurred, it'd be a great thing. But at the same time, I don't know what all of the facts mean, so I'll be researching that. And as far as just in general, I do love libraries. I love books. Ever since growing up down in Rockland County and being just really loves to spend time at the library, and we have a significant number of books at my house. I would spend time at half-price bookstores when we spent 8 years down in Texas, and it's one of the chains down there, half-price book. We have a whole lot of books. And I value books in general, and just the nicety of the package. Books will never go away for the sake of electronics. E-readers are critical, and having stuff in electronic format is important for the future because people like to see things up on the screen right now. They like to see things. And so that's anything in that direction I feel is good. At the same time, nothing can beat being able to carry a book with you, to go and sit under a tree or sit at a table to sit next to somebody while they're watching TV. So I think just in general, it's important. I want to have, want to be able to lend just another viewpoint as to how things will run at the level.
Thank you. Okay, Q&A time from the floor.
Bob Digby, besides the village. Just a question for all three of you. Do you have an opinion about this library as being a school district library or not? Do you think it should remain as a school district library? If so, why? If not, why?
Who goes first?
Whoever has an answer.
You mean keeping
Why
the
don't you go in
library?
order?
ind-
Why don't you
That's
go
fine.
left to right?
Okay, Bernie,
Okay.
let's start with you.
Historically, why is this way in Goshen? I'd have to guess, but I do know that a lot of the libraries in Rockland and Westchester are part of the school district just for tax reasons. It's more difficult to actually get budgets passed, I guess, if they're individual, is what I had heard. And as part of the school district, it's kind of lumped in a little bit easier, getting a budget approved or getting money approved for the budget. So it really goes back to how they're gonna spend money, and how, or if that's the case, how the money can be approved, or if you feel you're more at feel you're more apt to have your budget cut as a standalone library budget. That's not the direction you want to go.
I don't know of any constraint that the library is within because of this situation of being as part of the school district. I believe we're still as autonomous as we want to be. I don't think there's any limit that is placed on us. So I think we get better. Is it interest rates as such? I don't know of any issue, but so I don't see any reason to change that.
I agree. I don't think the library has been, to my knowledge, in what I have seen, I've been reading the minutes online, that the library has been hindered by having their budget attached to the school district budget. I think it's a resource that is used by all in the community, and so I don't see that it has been hindered by being part of the school budget.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you to put on a little cap on your head, the library of the future. Here we are in 2010. We've seen a new wave of technology hit the streets. We've also been wrestling with whether we need to have a larger facility for the library of the future too, meaning a much bigger footprint of a library. And it appears to me, just my opinion, that it seems to be in conflict with each other. If a good portion of the materials that we're going to be handling in the future are digital, and they're going to be downloaded onto iPads or Kindles or other technology, including our own home computers, why do you think we would need a larger footprint than we already have? And would you, if you thought about it, is there a way that we could reduce the amount of paper materials and keep the existing building and refocus it and rebuild it into something that is more usable because of these changes? So I'm saying 10 years from now, are we going to need more space or less space to bring the same amount of information or more information to your clients? Left to right.
Bernie.
Not fair that you should always be
Oh,
first.
So a couple of different things came to mind. First is, what would you want to reduce in terms of the the information or the books that you want to,
Don't want to reduce any information.
but you do want to reduce the amount of actual paper goods that.
Well, it's gonna take care of itself, probably.
Right, well, increased information, okay, so just in terms of right now, increased information takes less space. For all information that's new and searchable online, there's a whole lot more out there, and yeah, it does take up much less space in terms of what you can fit inside of a square box of hard disk space, or several square boxes, still much more information than you can on hundreds of shelves. You do want still hundreds of shelves for kids' books, for example, because you want to be able to have the kid hold and learn from what's in front of them. In a lot of cases, it's better that way. And for other reasons too. Me personally, the reason I have a lot of books is because I like an author or something. So you're going to have that fondness as well. But I think we're lucky enough to be part of a library system where, I've been down to the King's Daughters Library, I think it is, in West Haverstraw rather, and if that's the one that I'm thinking of, it's huge, and there's so much resources down there. They rebuilt it new, and
My question was geared toward 10 years out from now.
well, here's my point. We're part of the same library system. So anything that's in those larger libraries is available to us. So we can certainly keep the same size and reduce, provide more information electronically, and then still reduce the need for more space, but still keeping in mind that there will be some things like the kids' books and whatever it is that we'll want to keep on hand.
Maybe I should be clearer about this. Do we need to have a library that's twice as big as it is today, or will we be able to deliver the same materials or even more 10 years from now in the same amount of space?
And in short, as long as other libraries continue to grow, we can keep our same footprint, is what I would say. We would keep our same space because we'll still have their resources at our disposal, in our case.
I've been to the New York Public Library, which is a bit larger than this one here, and they have seemed to have filled it up with quite a few more books. There's a lot more books than we have here at this little library. So I know we can fill it up with books. As far as ebook readers replacing paper books, I do work for a publisher, and I can tell you we had a banner year last year. And I know our e-books are certainly have gone up quite a lot, I believe 200%. But we still enjoy good
10 years from
paper.
now.
I'm talking 10 years from now. I'll be there. I'll be there in a minute. But it does cost some money. For the iPad, it's $500 for the base price for a iPad. You can get these readers for the patrons who come to the library, or you can get books, or you could balance the two. There are certain books that aren't going to make it to an ebook reader, like most that you find, the Kindle, and yeah, I don't have a crystal ball. I know what the iPad and the Hearst Publishing Skiff will provide, but most of the readers, the Nook, the Kindle, they're all black and white, and they're all serial, where you don't have columns, you don't have graphics, so they can only provide for a certain
Again, I'm trying to
type of
have
book.
you think out 10 years from now.
It takes a while for me
Okay.
to formulate
Okay.
this 10 years.
Yeah.
We've dealt with that. We've put on our thinking caps at Penguin and Pearson for many years on this, and we still, people still like to hold something in their hands. I don't see, if we moved into a building twice as much, that might be sufficient. I don't know. I don't, you could say look in a crystal ball, but I can't say what's going to be out. iPad just came out, lovely device. It gives you, great, it gives you color, it gives you multi-column.
Well, maybe I can help you.
You could
10
try.
10 years ago, there was records and 8-tracks. And 5 years ago, they were all CDs. Today, a kid does not hold any kind of material. He has a digital player in his hand and he downloads all of his music. You don't see that type of thing happening with print?
There may be some of it. I don't know
Some?
entirely. Sure, you might, they might start.
How do kids communicate today? Do they spend hours and hours and hours texting to each other, receiving, downloading, talking to each other back and forth via a handheld device?
Yes, they do.
And are they going to be adopters of this technology that's coming versus us who love our old traditions? But are the kids 10 years from now going to be reading books, or are they going to be holding a tablet in their hand that has all of their information?
Hopefully they will. So we'll reduce the number of trees that are cut down.
Right.
But I still see like children, young readers, sitting down with a big colorful book. And, some of our larger books, I don't know. I only know about here and now. In the next, say, 5 years. And
Again, we're looking at spending millions of dollars to
But
either
our-
expand
I don't know
our
if we're looking
footprint
for
or not.
I don't know if that's the case. I saw the last.
Well, it was 19
last
million
meeting.
the last time.
I saw the meeting.
It was
from-
19 million the last time.
Actually, I thought it was 30.
So that's just sewer.
No.
The library,
No,
the library, believe it or not, was only
Regardless, I know
19
it's getting
million.
off topic
Ms.
here.
Langlois would like to have a little.
10 years from now, do we know what technology is going to look like? We know what we have now. 10 years ago, did we even think of the iPad or the iPhone or any of these other technology things? I'm a lover of books, and I think that as a parent, that's something that I've passed on to my son. A love of holding that book, of coming to the library or going to a bookstore and buying a book, because that you can't replace that. The feeling of holding your book and putting it in your bookcase at home and saying, I read that book, or coming to the library and I read that book. 10 years from now, okay, will we still have the same needs that we have now? Probably. I'll give you an example. In my family is we recently had to purchase, a piece of equipment for our home, and we went online to look at consumer reports. You have to pay money. We came to the library and we looked at the consumer reports and we said, we came and did the research here. There will always be a need for that print, for that, that book, that magazine. Are there 10 years from now, will we still need books? I believe so. Will we still need space? I believe that as well.
Mark?
I guess my question is, my question comes out of your question, because it's a very interesting question. I totally feel that books are going to be around. I hope to God they're going to be around in 10 years and further out. But I'm trying to make a connection in this, is that like I was born in this town in a very small little hospital up the street. And when they built the Arden Hill Hospital, my mother was part of that whole growth of that. She was very involved in that, and I remember when that building was built, and I was very young, and I can guarantee you that people thought that was just outlandish, building a building like that. Who would ever have thought that a smaller community like this would need a building of such size? And we all know now it's very antiquated, and the kind of things that were made available in that building, when it was first built in 1969, it was a very small, they didn't have all these specialty things that hospitals did, and we didn't have all the illnesses it seemed like that we have now, and all these specialties that need all this kind of specializing in doctors and everything else. What my point is that my question to you is, do you think in 10 years from now that the library that we have now, the things that are offered now, will be somewhat of the same kind of things that will be offered in 10 years? Like, and what I mean is, I mean, the kind of things that this library offers now, 20 years ago, nobody ever even thought of these things. The kind of, you know, having classes for children about, I'm sorry, I just can't think of all the things that they do. I get the things in the mail all the time, these wonderful programs trying to help kids do things, and adults, and cooking and acting and all these things. I mean, when old Mrs. Feynman was here, they never did anything like that. They didn't have all these wonderful things offered to people. My question to you is do you think that this library in 10 years will have different things, even more great things for this community? Put aside the books. I know, I happen to think that probably the books will probably shrink considerably. But the library, I think, will probably grow tremendously in 10 years. But in a different way that none of us have any idea about. None of us. There's not a person in this room that has any idea what's going to go on in this library in 10 years. It's probably going to boggle your mind. Personally, 6 months ago, this iPad thing, I mean, I didn't even know what it was. So, I mean, that boggles my mind in itself. I hope to God books don't go away, but I don't know if I'm making myself clear. I'm trying to go somewhere with this and say, do you think that the library will offer different things, completely different things in 10 years?
What's the purpose of the library?
Yeah, if
Supposed to be a place to study.
I would hope so too, because I would like for the community to be more involved in the library, and the library to offer more to the community. The larger libraries that I mentioned, the reason why they are so large, one reason is because they do one thing. If they do section off the books, this area on this floor for teens or whatever, but there's also meeting areas. Okay. Instead of quiet areas where many people can talk, they have separate meeting rooms. And if we were to structure that for the community and be a focal point for the community, we would certainly need a larger library for that. I think.
I'm sorry. Is somebody else talking while they're talking? Oh, I just hear other voices. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's part of what I think moving to other buildings, larger buildings, is the intent. And part of the problem against it is just the buy-in to spend that money to start. If we can get more involvement with the community first, and then say, well, now that you're so involved, we could do much more with this. That'd be the direction to go.
Yeah, I do see a lot of changes. We're going to probably need a lot more space for people to sit down at computers. You know, if we're going with ebooks, whether at computers or maybe when you walk in the door, you'll be handed or check out an iPad. You'll need a place to sit down. We're not going to give out iPads to everybody so they can leave with the book. So, you know, that's one thing. Unless people have money to purchase these ebook readers and can take holdings home with them, we're not going to be giving out iPads or other ebook readers. So we'll need more space for people to sit down. I also have seen, I've seen proof of concept of what you're going to find on iPad and other ebook readers. And just one thing I mentioned before was one of our DK books is astronomy, of which you could take it outside. The iPad knows where you're at and what direction you're facing that book, and it will bring up the constellation you're pointing at. Then you could point at the stars, and it will tell you the names of the stars and give you other information. So there are things that are going to happen, we're going to see, that we haven't dreamt of yet. So I see a lot more technology, and yes, I see people gathering together, and you know, if you go to any other town the same size and population, you won't find a small library. I don't understand how we've kept our knowledge so constrained with this size when you look at these other towns. So we do need a larger library, and we'll need it for several reasons. Thank you.
Going with the premise of 10 years from now, 10 years from now, You're approaching 60. Yeah, and, 10 years from now, we'll have different people, moving into Goshen, who have moved into Goshen, who will bring in their own ideas, their own ways of, these are the kinds of programs we want for our families. These are the kinds of, books we want our children to be reading. And so we want to make sure that the library is the centerpiece where families are pulled into to come in and spend, a family of, several people, mom, dad, and the kids can come and sit, in a room, in a comfortable setting and say, let's read this book. Or, when I was a kid, I read this book. So, going with the premise of 10 years from now, Goshen might look different 10 years from now because of the growth that Goshen is experiencing. And, I used the example earlier of, when we moved here, Murray Avenue ended at Goshen Intermediate, and look at all the homes that are going there. There are other, planned homes in the area. So, growth is happening. Goshen will grow. Goshen will need space. And the library, I think, can make itself be that center where everybody comes to, share ideas, look for new ideas, and make it their own part of the community.
A question out of left field for you guys.
I know.
The Goshen School District, was mentioned before. The library is a child of the school district. New York State law allows, in our case, approximately 350 Goshen School District taxpayers to sign a petition to have a question put on a school district ballot to merge the library into the school district. What would your ideas about that be?
I don't understand the question, I'm sorry, I just want to.
It's addressed to the candidate.
Well, I just
They
want to
understand
understand
it.
what, do you?
So the question is, if 350 people or 400
Petition the
people
school
were
district.
to get that on the ballot, what would their response?
The library, and it passes,
To
the library must merge into the school district.
And get rid of the library,
Yes,
of the public library.
yes. Or the school district will run the library. And they may be able to do it a little bit more efficiently than we do. But that's the question out of left field.
So,
They have space, they already have 5 other libraries.
can I go first?
Go ahead.
So our school system, our Goshen Central School District, we're doing well. I mean, we're doing pretty good with the budget and all, and getting people to vote yes on it, and I don't think so. Why would somebody want to put our library under their budget, of which a lot of years has been voted down? We've gone to austerity, and if that happens, nothing's going to happen. Here you want to, reduce the taxes while you reduce the library holdings, and you'll limit what's available to the public, to our children, and that's not the right thing
And you
to
don't
do.
see any savings in that idea?
No, I don't, because, I know what goes on with the school budget, and they're not doing too good with that, all right? For whatever reason, I'm not gonna get into that, but it wouldn't be a good thing. We're here for the library, not for the school district, 2 separate entities.
Anyone else?
I think, getting rid of this library right now, is that what
No,
you're,
the school district would run it,
run it out of their buildings?
would run the library.
Okay, I mean, the way I'm understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, this building, this library would no longer exist and everything would
As a
go.
separate entity. It would exist as a division of the Goshen School District.
Why would we wanna do that? I mean, it's,
I was asking you.
It,
There's a couple ideas that come right into mind is that they can close down 2 of their libraries in their buildings, free up all that space in 2 buildings, have all the kids come here, move this library at one point turned the Goshen School District down on an offer for the Main Street School for free. This library turned them down.
Schools need libraries.
Right.
Children.
You could have that Main Street building as a library with more space than anyone.
You mean that like if children up at, say, Scotchtown Avenue, they had a little library hour, so they would have to bus them down
Right.
here to have, put them on a
Right.
ball, that class on a bus, drive them down here, drop them off.
So how
So
much
they
would
would
that
need to
cost
pay the
to run the
drivers
bus?
to
And insurance.
shuttle them back and forth.
Insurance.
You know, one of the things, I work in a school. I work at Chester Elementary School. And one of the things that happens at lunchtime is, you know, particularly in those harsh winter days, is you see kids coming into the library to sit and read. To sit and read and have a quiet spot to just spend time with a book. Closing libraries in a school building, you are taking away an amazing resource for students. Because then you'd have to increase, you need bus drivers, you can't have them walk from, you know, many of the school buildings, to shuttle them down to the library, shuttle them back. How much time in the school day would they lose?
Bus drivers are cheaper than librarians.
Yeah.
Where would,
Okay, I just want to interject 1 second. We're at 7:40, and we have to start our board meeting. But I also know that several people wanted to attend the school board meeting.
Yeah.
So if they wanted to skidoo out of here now, feel free to do that.
I just had one quick question for Keith. You mentioned about moving it to Mr. Quattrini's building. What's the cost of that,
I don't know.
if we did that?
I know the board has discussed options. Very interesting.
Well, I would like to know the cost, I mean, I think it would be important to know what the cost would be.
Sure. Everybody would
You
like to
know,
know.
I mean, I'd like to know that, so.
They've not pursued the details yet, just some of the options.
It's in its infancy, but everybody will be, when we know our legalese and things that are
Okay.
involved with switching and things, then the public will absolutely be 100% aware.
And thank you guys for taking the time to come out and run.
Last question, Jerry. Last question, Mr. Boss.
I agree with you about holding books, but that's generational, I feel. My generation was books. Although my daughter has instilled that in my grandchildren, and I instilled it in my children. I use books, I read all the time, up to 11, 12 o'clock reading. But to forecast 10 years down the road, and I watched the program last night that Oliver North hosted, and it was about drones. And they interviewed various generals. And one of his questions was, did you think that you would see this technology back 10 years ago?
Yeah.
And the generals, one of the generals had said, no. Well, what would you forecast down the next 10 years? They said it's beyond us, because this is evolving. Every day there's new technology, and I feel it's the same way. Here with iPod, I watch a granddaughter, 7, 8 years old, go through that computer. I want to take mine and throw it out a window. And it's amazing to watch these kids. Now, we are now in for, from what I've been told by various political types, town boards, school boards, that we are in for a financial tsunami.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I think that's going to dictate where we go, how we go. Do you agree or disagree that it's the taxpayer that we really have to watch out for? Now, it's fine, grandiose, we'll build this big library. My suggestion, we probably do need a new library, but I would have the architect, if it hasn't been done already, that it can be expanded at a point in time, so we had that option.
Expandable. Is that
Yes.
what you mean? Yeah.
Right.
Good idea.
Ladies first, that's the way I was brought up.
Do we, you know, have there been plans in the past for a new library that were voted down?
Yes.
You know, do we need to look out for the taxpayer? Yes. Do we need to make decisions that are responsible decisions? And so, you know, in the, you know, to use Tiffany's word, it, you know, the discussions with the Quattrini building, it's in its infancy. And so to look at, you know, what is going to be the most, if that's the route that we're going to take as a, you know, as a town, as a board, if I'm, as a trustee, if I'm, you know, elected, do we need to look at what is the most cost-effective way to do that, so that the taxes, that we are responsible to the taxpayer? Do I have a number in my head? No, I don't. No. I don't think the trustees right now have a number that they have put out that I have not seen. Maybe they do, but I have not seen it. And so what, do we look at what's, you know, how, what are all the angles that we need to look at to be responsible to the taxpayers?
Well, you can't make a forecast. The school budget cannot make a forecast because they don't know right now, as of the last meeting, how much the state is going to give us, or how much they're not going to give us, or if they're going to give us anything at all. So it's kind of a tough situation to forecast financially until things hopefully settle out.
It's up to the library board to see what the best options are out there and present it to the voters. That's the way it goes, and we did that, and they voted the library proposition down. So that's what we're going to do. That's what the library, library board, whoever's on it, is going to do, is try to find the best option out there for, you know, if we think there's need for a larger building, and present it to the voters. Now, the Quattrini building is kind of interesting because you have a tenant in there already that has a 5-year lease. You could actually, if it was that building, we could actually get, you know, the lower and some of the upper, and if we don't need space, we could decrease it. We could lease it out. So we, you know, you could look at it both ways.
Would we still maintain this building? Or
I
this
don't
building
think
would
so. I
go?
don't think that's an option.
No.
It wouldn't
But-
be like an annex type of thing where they
No,
might
this
have
would
all
go back on the
computers.
tax rolls.
No.
It would be
Yeah.
sold and be back on the tax rolls. Bernie, any last comments?
No, just back to the need for growth. I think, you know, particularly if you do any searching on Google or anything, any online search engines, you continually get access to more and more information electronically. And that's gonna be the direction, of course, everything goes. And so still the question is gonna be, why do we need the book? Why do you need this package that is this neat little package with all its words and pictures? There are applications we've done over to here, and that's why we're gonna need some books in the library at all times. And whether you wanna, I wanna go and I've never read Huck Finn, or it's been 20 years since I've read Huck Finn, I wanna go down and get a copy. So not everybody has to have it on their shelf, not that they shouldn't. But that's, we'll still need space for that. Whether we want to grow and then use some of that space for other things that we discussed, like meeting rooms, common rooms, community center-ish things, and we see the need or the value at that time, that would be why we keep a larger building or put a larger building. So like it's been said, I think the community, the taxpayers will decide at any given time, and we can try to make a point, but only to those who are going to listen.
Okay, I want to end it. Sorry. We had more people than we anticipated, which is fantastic. And I want to thank the trustees-elect for coming out and for everyone for showing up this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.